Good evening, and welcome back to another brand spanking new episode of the video for the Coding Fanatic YouTube channel. This is your host, Richard Clark, and thank you all so much for tuning in. If you are liking the content here on this channel, don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on notifications so you can see when I upload new videos each week. And if you're enjoying the content, don't forget to share with your friends. That being said, let's get started. So in today's video, I'm going to continue styling the Salesman travel app that I'm working on, as well as removing, or I'm going to continue styling it and adding new activities today. So when we click on the view list option and the search list option, it will open a new screen that has everything for those. Now, I haven't finished writing those just yet, so for today it'll only be blank screens, but the goal is to have clickable text views that open new activities. So let's get started. But before we get into that, I want to remove this title up here that says Salesman's Travel. It does not really do it for me with this application. Most Android apps or most mobile apps have an action bar up here, and that usually contains information and links that are useful for interacting with the application. So the first thing we're going to do is open our activity main XML file. So if we go up to resources, layout, all right. And since this is a text view, we're just going to go ahead and delete it altogether. I know, after we did all that work too, right, of getting it set up, and hair today, gone tomorrow, but so it is. Such is life in the world of programming. All right, so let's just go ahead and test this and make sure it works. And all right, so now we're only left with our view list and our search list options. But we want to include the action bar, like I said earlier. So, excuse me. Okay. For our next step, we're going to open the styles and color XML files. So I'll just go ahead and close these out and open up styles and colors. Oh, I can't do both. All right. Make a change here. Cool. So in the styles XML file, we're going to remember last video we changed this to say no action bar. Well, we're going to go ahead and update that, and we're going to read it as dark action bar. Save it. Now what this does is it brings our action bar back, and it renders it with what's considered the dark color. Now, as you can see, this is a bright green, so there's nothing dark about it. So you're probably wondering, well, if that's dark, why is this considered dark? And it's this element here, the color primary dark. And this is actually no, it's this element right here, the color primary, that these three elements are all responsible for the different colors that make up the theme of the app. But as far as this background color right here, we can change that by altering the color primary variable. So if we close our styles XML, or before that, here you see it's found in the color / color primary directory. So if we go to our values, we see the colors.xml, which we already have open. Here it is, color primary. All right, so you have color primary, primary dark, and color accent. So these are the three colors that make up the theme of an app. So if you ever want to experiment with colors in an application, this is where you'd go to make those changes. You can also add additional colors here and set them with your own hex values. But for today, we're only going to update the background color of our action bar. So I'm going to change this to 6 zeros, which you all know makes it black. And we're going to come back to our application here. And once everything is complete, then it should render with a black background. All right. Okay, so now that we have changed we've added our action bar and we have changed the background color to black, let's head back to Android Studio where we will add our two new classes for when we view the list and when we search the list. So here we are back in Android Studio and we're going to open up Java. And here we are. We're going to right click this folder and hit new Java class. And I'll call this one list addresses. Okay. And yes, I will add this to Git. Why not? And we're going to do it one more time and add, you guessed it, search addresses. And yes, I will add this to Git. Great. So our two new classes are here. We can close out this XML file for now. All right, we've got our list addresses.java and search addresses.java. Now, as it stands, there's nothing in these activity files or in these class files. There's nothing here. But we're going to add we're going to configure these classes so that when we open them using the links in our app, they'll show the content that we want them to. All right, so let's close that out. Okay, so let's close out this colors.xml, and we're going to go back to our AndroidManifest.xml file. And let's see, I'm going to clean this up just a bit, just to my liking. All right, we got Android name, intent filter, action, Android name. All right, we can move this guy up here, and there's our intent filter, and beautiful. Okay. All right, so our next activity, to add our activities, we have to create activity tags. So as you can see, we have one for the main activity. Well, you probably can't really see it, but for the main activity Java file, there is an XML element called Android, or there's an activity for Android name main.activity. So we're just going to do the same thing again for our new activities. Okay, great. And we can just copy, paste. All right, so Android name equals, all right, period, list addresses. And in here, Android name equals dot search addresses, and save. Now I'm going to redirect your attention to Android Studio for just a moment. Now, for those of you at home who don't use Visual Studio, who write all your code in Android Studio, if you open your AndroidManifest, you'll see that there are red squigglies underneath the list addresses and search addresses for these activities. So the reason for this is, and it says that column.example travel list activities is not assignable to Android app activity. And the reason for this is we haven't imported a specific class into the Java files for list addresses and search addresses. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to leave this file open here so you can see when the change takes place and how it affects that. All right, so we can close out this manifest. And we're going to go to our main Java example Java YT, list addresses and search addresses. Okay, All right. So for this to work, we have to import specific classes here. So we are going to import with one I, not two. Import Android.support.v7 .app compat activity with an I, activity semicolon. Okay, so what this does now, if we go back to our AndroidManifest file, you'll see that it hasn't made the change just yet. All right, not to worry. Let's keep going here. So we're going to import, next we're also going to import the bundle android.os.bundle class. All right, and we're going to save this and let's check it one more time. Okay. All right, so I see now where my mistake is. So let's comment out this bundle file just for 1 second, just so you can see. And what we have to do is extend the app compat activity class. So now when you extend or extends public class list addresses extends app compat activity, cool. Save it. Now when we go back to our AndroidManifest, you'll see that the red squiggly has been removed. So in order to add a new activity, you have to import, at least for this project, when we add our new activities, we're going to import this app compat activity class and make sure that our class extends that app compat activity class. And then you'll see the red squiggly disappear in your AndroidManifest, right? So moving forward, we can uncomment those guys out, and we're going to add our last class here. Import android.support.annotation.nullable. Great. Okay. Let's do the same thing here in our search addresses Java file, but to save time, we can just copy, or I'll do this one first. Save. Back to our manifest, and still there, and that is because we haven't extended it. So extends app compat activity. Save. Back, and it's gone. Great. So now we go back up here. We import android.os.bundle and import android.support.annotation.nullable. Neat. Okay. All right, so now that that's taken care of, oh, I know I should keep these open. All right, so we have configured the AndroidManifest, and we're almost done configuring our new classes. We can't leave these empty. We can't leave these guys empty. Yeah, well, you should never leave your class empty, otherwise it won't do anything. So next stage is we're going to override the onCreate method. Now the onCreate method is used to pretty much render everything, all your elements and views from your XML files, renders in the activity when the onCreate method is called. And for Android applications, as part of the life cycle, it's the first method that's called when you open an application. So right as when you click on a button in your phone, you see here, it's easier to show you. Okay, well, it opened back up. Thank you, but I wanted to click it. All right, let's open this guy up and go to trap. All right, it's not letting me do it myself. I think my computer has become sentient and it doesn't believe in allowing me to do things on my own anymore. And that's okay. But yeah, I'm having some issues with this launcher. That's okay. The idea is once you click on the application itself, or let's use the clock, for example. When you click on that, before you see anything render, an onCreate method is called. And then that onCreate method uses the styling found in the XML file for this activity to determine what everything will look like. So we have to, if you don't add anything to if you don't overwrite that onCreate method, then by default, you'll just get a blank screen. So we want to make sure that we have something appear on screen. So let's close this guy out. And maybe the machine will, nope, okay. All right, well, I'm not gonna fight Skynet, that's for sure. If the computer doesn't want me to open this app, then I'm not gonna argue. So let's come back over to our list addresses.java. I'm really fighting this laugh right now. All right, and or which one did I start with? Delete that for now. All right, we're gonna say at override protected void onCreate. This is our onCreate method, and nullable bundle saved instance state. Okay, now when we call the onCreate capital C onCreate method using the saved instance state bundle object. Okay, set content view using r.layout.list, right? And get, actually, yeah, that's it for now. All right, so what this does is when the activity is created, it's going to use an XML file called list.xml. Now, we haven't created this file just yet, but not to worry, we're going to do that next. But I'm going to save time, copy and paste this onCreate method. And we're going to copy it right here into our search addresses.java, and instead of .list, we're going to call it .search. Okay, and save. All right, so our next step is we're going to go ahead and add the XML files for our application. So we're going to head back to Android Studio and go to Res Layout, and we're going to right click, New XML, Layout XML file, and we'll call the first one list. And yes, I will add this to Git. Thank you. Click on text, and then we'll do the same thing again, XML, and we'll call this one search. Finish. Yes, I will. Text. All right. And just to confirm, yep. So we're calling the search XML file in the search addresses Java file, and the same thing for a list in the, oops, we forgot our P in support. There we go. All right, so now everything is good, and we have configured our new class files. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right, so now that we have configured those class files, we're going to write our onClick method. Now, the onClick method, what it's responsible for, it tells the phone what to do when you click on a certain view. So in our case, we have our text views that we're going to click on. You know, let me bring the app back up if Skynet will allow me. Oh, Skynet, won't you, with your phone so bright, guide my activity and Gradle build tonight. Hey, okay. So when we click on view list or search list, like I said earlier, we want it to open our new activities, right? So the only way to do that is to write an onClick method. So we're going to head to our main activity Java file, which we will open here. Close these two out and go down to Java. There it is. Okay, so we're going to create our method. Now, you don't have to call it, you can call it whatever you want. I like to give it a different name than onClick just to confirm that, I don't know, that's just how I do it. So let's call it public void, and we'll call it press. All right, neat. Now, inside of this, we have our onClick method, and before we start configuring everything, we should import a few more classes into our main activity.java file. So let's import Android.intent. We're going to import the intent class. Just make sure I got these guys in alphabetical order here. Okay. So we got content, intent, bundle, connectivity. We're going to next import Android.widget.textView and import Android.view.view. Okay. So we've imported the intent, bundle, TextView, and view classes. And all of this will make sense as we go through the rest of the onClick method. So let's start with view. We're going to allow it to accept a view object or view argument, or an argument of a view object, which we'll use as the argument for our method. We'll call it view. Right, and inside of this method, we're going to do a few things, and let's write them out here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to obtain from our layout. Right, so we have two text views here for a view list and search list. We're going to obtain the text from both of these and use that to determine which activity will launch when we click on the actual text views themselves. So when we click on the text view, it should call the onClick method, and the method will use the text of the text view that has been clicked to tell the app which activity we should call next. Pretty straightforward. Cool. All right, so before we do that, let's add a variable intent, all right, and we're just going to make an intent object called intent, and we'll also create a string object or string variable called text. Cool. All right, now here we are inside of our press method, and we're going to say text equals view.getText .toString. Okay, so what this is going to do is take our view, get the text from the view, and cast it as a string. But because of the object type, we can't just call view. We have to call it, because it's a text view. So it's not just any old view, it's a text view. So we have to kind of put some respect on it. You know what I mean? So we're going to say text view. We're going to cast this as a text view type object. This way, when we get the text, we're not just getting it from any view. It's specifically a text view. And the reason for this is just how you get the text itself. So all right, it gives a text view. All right, .toString. Cool. All right, next we're going to add an if statement and an else if statement. Now you can probably, if you're familiar with if statements and you've been following along, I'm pretty sure you know what comes next. Maybe not syntax wise, but essentially if the text is view list, then it's going to open that class, and else if the text is search list, it will open that class instead. So we're going to come over here. All right, so if if our string, we say dot equals view list. Okay, so we're using the dot equals method of the string class. If we say text like equals view list, then that's going to throw us some logical errors, because the equals to logical operator doesn't compare the content of the strings. It'll compare the reference or the location in memory where they're stored, and that's not what we're looking for. We want to actually check the text itself. So we're using the dot equals method of the string class. So if the text equals view list, then we create a new intent. And we are going to call, let me say this, and list addresses dot class. All right, so we create an intent, which pretty much is going to tell the device that, hey, we should open up this intent tells it to open the list addresses class. And we're going to do that by calling the start activity class, or start activity method, and passing it this intent. Okay, so let me just add some notes here just for our own reference. And we're going to say, we're going to cast the view object as a text view and use get text to obtain text if the and to string to obtain a string. And we're going to add our parentheses here. I always do this in my comments when I write code, so that if I ever come back to it, I can figure out exactly what I was doing. All right, so if the string equals view list, start list addresses. All right, and we can just copy paste and say else if the string equals search list, not Sriracha, search list, start search addresses. Okay, cool. So before we go into that, I'm just going to comment this guy out. Save. And we are going to test this to, actually, no. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's finish this up. We have if and we have else if. So else if text dot equals search list intent equals new intent this and search addresses dot class star activity intent. Okay, and that does it for our press method that we've written here. All right, so now that this is complete, let's head back to the main activity Java just to make sure there are no compiler errors and there aren't any. Whoop, wait. I see a red squiggly, but I don't know why there's a red squiggly. Let's click on the Thunderbolt here. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. Can I find symbol variable view? Okay, let's head on back to our file here. Okay. All right, it says expression expected. This is kind of weird. String text. You know what? It might be the scope of the variable that's causing this. Nope, that's not it. Let's try it anyway and see what happens. And it's giving me the same thing. All right. We've got Android view.view. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what's going on with this thing. It says expression expected, but I'm fairly certain that this is how it's written. We have our view object here. Text equals view dot get text dot to string. Right, because there is no get text method, so we say text view. This is a tricky one. I'm not entirely sure why this isn't compiling. But you know what? I think this is a good stopping place for today. So I'm going to spend some time working on this and figuring out what exactly is preventing this from working. But yeah, so let's go over what we've done so far today. I removed the title that said Salesman's Travel at the top. I got rid of that in place of an action bar. So now it says the name of the application up here. So now the action bar has been added, and we have our two new classes, both list addresses and search addresses. So when we do get this part up and running, we should be able to open those classes or open those Java files on click. And the last thing was to configure our two new classes, both list addresses and search addresses.java. And we extended the ActionBar class as well as overrode the onCreate method in both classes. So for the time being, I'm going to look into this and see exactly why this isn't working. It's kind of weird. Create field view and yeah. All right. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in. Like I said, I do these videos every week. So if you like content like this, don't forget to subscribe and like and turn on notifications so you can see when I upload new videos each week. And don't forget to share with your colleagues and friends, anyone else who's writing Java or doing Android development, also using Java. So once again, this is your host, Richard Clark, signing out, and I will see you all on the next one. Peace.